XRP holders, welcome back to the Crypto ZX channel. Happy November 1st. We have officially started the month of November. Let's talk about what's happening, of course. Appreciate all the love. Again, we're starting off on a really positive note. If you watch my H bar update and some of the recent updates that I just uploaded, you guys know what's happening. But you can see for yourself, we're starting off on a really positive note right now. Obviously, today is the weekend. On the weekends, more manipulation than usual as CME futures are closed. But like I said, a lot of green as of now. So fingers crossed, hopefully this momentum carries on. As far as XRP's price is concerned, we're up about 1% right now, with the price currently sitting at $2.50. Also up about 1% on the Bitcoin side of things. Valuation making its way back above 150 billion, to be exact, 150.4 billion. And the 24-hour trading volume sitting at about $3.6 billion as of recording this update. But before we get into any further, as always, just a quick disclaimer, anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in crypto. So we're going to start off with this. Shout out to Quentin. Quentin says, this is the first cycle where Bitcoin has completely left altcoins in dust. Every bounce gets sold into, Bitcoin dominance keeps climbing, liquidity is tight, institutions focus on Bitcoin and Ethereum, retail is completely out, altcoin season needs greed and narratives. Right now, there's only this pair, and I totally agree with that. And this is something, again, we've been emphasizing on the channel day in, day out. As far as retail interest is concerned, we're not seeing retail interest compared to, what we have seen in the past. And that's where, you do tend to see altcoins generally, start to pick up. But speaking about that, I made an update on Dash, and you're starting to see a lot of these coins, pumping up quite a bit. So, is this a hint that, we're about to see an altcoin season officially starting? A huge factor of that, of course, is going to be the dominance, to show weakness, and of course, Bitcoin to stabilize itself, which again, we definitely did not see over the past, 1 month, month and a half. So that's something we want to factor in, but let's move forward and see what's happening. So institutions just set a new record for Bitcoin buying. ETFs and public firms have already bought 975,000 Bitcoin this year, while miners only created 136 Bitcoin. Supply is vanishing fast. So pretty much what this means is supply is not outweighing the demand. The demand is much much higher right now, and the demand is pretty much coming in this time around from the bigger players. So again, this is where the excitement really comes into play to really give you guys a better understanding as to how far crypto has come, specifically the adoption levels. Again, never seen it this much in the record. Of course, this is the biggest like in terms of record. Obviously last year was great, but again, we have outpaced last year by a big margin from institutional demand. So that is very very interesting to see. But the month of October is over. The month of October is over, and it was on the red, you could see, 3.69%. That's what Bitcoin closed itself. First time since 2018. So we're looking at about 7 years. Again, November has started off on a positive note. So, hopefully, we do see this carry on. Again, that is going to be very, very interesting to see. And that is also going to give us a little bit of a better understanding as to, how, the remaining year of 2025 is going to go. But again, this is the fourth month of the year of 2025 where we have seen Bitcoin closing in the red. As you can see for yourself, Feb was quite a large one. March, August, and October. Let me know in the comments what your personal thoughts are on that. But let's move forward. Again, I posted this yesterday. I said, I'm just going to leave this here. This is the Bitcoin rainbow chart. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you guys is, again, when you talk about Bitcoin, it's so important to talk about Bitcoin. I know this is an XRP update, but you want to focus on the leader, the king of the market, in my opinion, the leading indicator, because it gives us a better understanding as what's going to happen with the broader market. And you can see for yourself, the rainbow chart is a historical chart, and you can see every time, the price of Bitcoin gets closer to all-time highs, you get into this orangish zone to the red zone, and we've seen that every cycle. You could see for yourself, and this time around we're still in this bluish zone, which again is, pretty much according to this chart, a buy opportunity, which is crazy to think about. But again, in terms of an altcoin perspective, that's definitely the case. I know you can make a statement that, for Bitcoin, that's not the case, but very, very interesting. Again, let me know your thoughts down below as to what you think. Let's move forward. So Coinbase gets, a huge net inflows on XRP. About 23.93 million is coming from Coinbase over the last 24 hours in terms of, the volume itself. Moving forward, James says, Bitwise and VanEck joined crew of issuers filing to potentially launch crypto products next month. Again, now this month, because of course November has started. Earlier, we had Fidelity and Canary Funds file for Solana in this way. Also had Canary file for XRP. Will be interesting to see how this plays out. And of course, the government shutdown is still going on, but I think, once the government shutdown ends, I think that's where we are going to see, more information, more bigger updates coming in regarding to that, because of course there is a processing aspect to it as well. But take a look at this. Of course, we know the Ripple Swell event is going to be taking place, first week of this month. Again, so in the next few days, we are going to be seeing that highly anticipated event taking place, and you could see what Reese says. I'm looking forward to, moderating this panel next week at Ripple's annual event. Swell. The largest global financial institutions are deploying assets on chain already. Big stuff coming from Reese Merrick himself. And a reminder, Ripple RLUSD isn't just another stablecoin, it's regulated, over collateralized, and audited. 103% reserve, custody at BNY Mellon, monthly, attestation by the US CPA. And of course, it is regulated. So again, when it comes to stablecoin, and as we know, stablecoins are being discussed so much, and when FIs want to, use stable coins, they want to look into something that they know for sure there is, obviously, a reserve behind it. They know that there's regulatory clarity behind it. They know that there is, the issuer of the stable coin has credibility within that space, and that's where, Ripple really checks the boxes. And these are key things that, we don't really want to be forgetting. But let's take a look at what's happening with the price today. So again, as far as the dominance is concerned, we're going to take a look at it on an hourly perspective. 59.88%. So it's pulling down right now. But again, we want to see the dominance continue to, go lower, especially to, where we were just 2 days back. And obviously dropping below that, that's where, I think things can really start getting exciting. Bitcoin, on the other hand, let's give it a refresh live. Bitcoin is currently sitting, if it loads, that would be great. Bitcoin is sitting right now within the 23.6 Fibonacci retracement level, starting off the month nice. Obviously, we're sitting in the 23.6. Of course, I would love to see the price of Bitcoin make its way back up to the confirmation zone at 117. But right now, obviously, there are some of the other key levels to be looking out for. But again, great start. But again, we're in a weekend. On the weekend, it's more manipulation due to CME futures being closed. So again, something I don't want you guys to forget. As far as the price of XRP is concerned, we're ranging, within the 38.2 Fibonacci retracement level. Again, we're pretty much at the level, where we were just, a few days back. And we did have resistance around that range, and that resistance came out again, $2.55. I spoke to you guys about that. But just yesterday, we did retest at the 230. Sorry, the day before yesterday, we did retest at 236, and since then the price is up about 7%, which is of course impressive to see. Again, breaking above $2.55 takes us back to, pretty much as to where we were, and $2.70 is what we want to get back above, because that pretty much opens the door for the 23.6. So again, let me know in the comments what your personal thoughts are. Thank you so much for all your support, and we'll see you later in Crypto ZX and peace.